tell you, one of the things I'm most excited about just from being in proximity at the Greatness Factory is, I've been working with brand builders. Are always saying, Nick, one of the next things for you is you really need to, you've got playbooks, you've got all these things that you're doing for other individuals, but how could you package that into signature keynote speeches, right? So for me, I understand that a guy like me that's in my spot, you need to rehearse these things.
Yep.
You want to film those rehearsals, right? Almost just like Soundcheck does for all the country music artists in town. You want to videotape it. You can go back and watch it, but you'll get content from that you can use to promote those signature keynotes. So literally, you rent the Greatness Factory just to rehearse, and we can put a live audience in there for you if it need be, right? If you need some heads in the front, whatever it is. But then that. Literally, whatever you spend renting that facility, it's going to make itself back 10x just because you're going to use that footage as promotional to go get those keynote gigs that you want so bad, right?
Absolutely. I think about that all the time. Like, the investment that you're putting into your brand is everything, right? So if you're going to put in an investment like the Greatness Factory and show up, book out that theater, it's going to make you 10 times as much as you put in, because that's what it's designed to do.
Yep.
That's why it's incredible.
Coach, there was something else too that you said about you've got the kitchen, so tell everybody about the kitchen services you have in there again. So it's a
prep kitchen. So it's not a full kitchen, but it's like we do have a private elevator that comes up. So you put the food on the private elevator, it comes up to the prep kitchen. Then there's ways that we have designed through the hallways that I've all redecorated and made better, so that they takes you over to the rooms. So if you wanted to have a private dinner, let's say you have a conference. Let's say you have a conference and you want to have a private VIP for 15 people. They eat together. They get extra time with you. That's a way to use that. Or if you want to have a cool dinner and just, meet and greet over dinner. Sometimes that's where the best business ideas come from.
That's right.
Versus this formal setting. So that room is really designed to do small group mastermind all the way up to these private dinners that I'm talking about.
So, and by the way, we're downtown, right? So it's on the third floor of the 505. You mentioned that, you folks, you're literally looking out over a road. It's unbelievable. The views. I mean, and where else downtown can you have a dinner meeting like that, like we're talking about? You know what I'm saying? Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, I saw where Garth Brooks had a level where you could do meetings, and I'm like, man, I don't I think it's a great idea to make money, I guess, but I don't know if I want to have my business meeting at Friends in Low Places. I'd like to go there to have a drink and listen to country music, but I couldn't put it together to do those things. But I think this is like a business center, but there is a little bit of entertainment value to this too. Like when I do the 20th Cool Evenings with Wealthy People, and my wife said, "Are you really going to call it that?" And I said, "Yes," because people are fascinated by people who have done something big.
That's right.
And they want to know, how did you make money doing this? So it's like, okay, that's more of an entertainment event. It's open to the public. Right, it's free. You enroll. You got 109 spots. You're going to be around great people. You're going to mix and mingle. There'll be a social element to it, and then there'll be a little bit of education. Now, this Thursday, by the time we play this, it'll be already done. But I'm doing like competitive intelligence there. It's a boot camp. People can pay $297 and come and spend a day with me. It's incredibly affordable for people. My members get access to that, so all the people who are members actually get that for free. So when they're looking at, okay, could I work over here? Then I got to go get coaching over here. Or could I just go to work and go upstairs and get a day of coaching? Or could my team get coaching?
Yeah.
So that's the unique differential advantages. I do look for a deep advantage, right?
Absolutely.
In everything that I'm doing. It's like, what is that slight edge? And to me, the coaching and the environment and the network is the edge at the Greatness Factory. They did studies at WeWork, and I'm a big fan of WeWork, especially when it was working. They actually generated $1.8 billion, 400 locations, 400,000 members. I actually believe the concept worked. Then they had a spending problem. They spent $1.9 billion, but it wasn't that the concept didn't work. But they did studies that showed 69% of the people there said there was no meaningful exchange.
That's right.
And the whole thing was built on community.
Yeah.
Right? How it was designed for community, but there wasn't this community based on what they found. And I think at the Greatness Factory, you're going to find the exact opposite. I think the numbers would be the opposite. I think it'd be 70% of the people said there's meaningful exchange.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it's structured. And I just don't think that's how a lot of people who build co-working spaces think.
I love the WeWork model as well. But one, I don't know if there was any I'm big on filtration or qualification, and making sure that if I'm going to be working there, that I'm surrounding by people that are part of my growth.
Yep.
And that's something that I know you take a lot of pride in at the Greatness Factory. Plus, just like you said, there was nobody there like you making sure that, hey man, like, why aren't y'all talking about this? That type thing, that kind of accountability factor.
Yeah. And introductions. I mean, I do believe you're one person away from a new season in life. And we, we've got a lot of connections to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'm going to introduce you to this person. Let me introduce you to this person. And if you'll just have an open mind, right? And then just be open and then follow up, go from mental creation to physical action, like get into action on that. There's no way you couldn't be a member there and figure out a way to generate some income.
That's right.
I mean, there's just, in my opinion, I was telling the guy the other day who got an office for 90 days and he was looking at it, he said, if I pay in full, and he's going through this, I said, man, there's no way you could be here and not generate enough income to pay for this. And he come for 1 week. He was planning on moving to New York City. He came for 1 week, said, forget New York City. I'm staying here. He's like, I'm showing up here every day. And that's, it's like, I knew that.
That's right.
I already knew that. But just getting another person to believe that, it's like, man, I'm telling you.
Can we tell anybody that's on the calendar that's booked? Can we do that yet?
I think we've got some national, what would be considered national influencers who are coming in April to do everything from virtual events, podcast studios. I'm in talks with Rory Vaden, as you know, with Brand Builders. He came over and we've talked about using the theater there. Taylor Welch, who's a major internet marketer, already booked it. He walked in and said, I'll take it 5 times. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, these people come in and they don't play around. It's like, they're very decisive. So it's like, hey, I'd like to book this theater 5 times. Hey, I'd like to get the podcast studio. Hey, I'd like to do this, because it isn't elevated. So what you'll see, Bradley's already been there. I think you brought him down one day to check it out. You're going to see a lot of influencers. You're going to see a lot of movers and shakers.
That's right.
You're going to see a lot of people who are doing big things. Obviously, I partner with Tony Giarratana, who's one of the key influencers of Nashville. I mean, we were really partners in this to put this deal together. When people hear the story of how it all came about and how we negotiated and kind of, I was the right fit for what he was looking for. He turned down multiple people to be in that space because he didn't think it was representative of the 505. So the greatness factor is like, boom. So it's like, we're here, we're at the big boys and the big girls table. Right. Price Pritchett called it the big table. So if you want a seat at the big table, you got to get in the room with the people who are at the big table. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's why I'm excited about it.
And I can't think of, as far as proximity goes, something that we've learned here at the Hit Lab. And again, everything we do at the Hit Lab is the Greatness Factory is an unbelievable partner and everything that we're doing here is like, we have some world-class podcasters, all that shoot in these studios. And I can't think, like, seriously, guys, like, you never know who's going to be in there. And when somebody does come into town and they want to make the most out of their time and they want to be on 3 or 4 or 5 podcasts in a 1 to 2 day stretch without having to leave, like, I can't think of a better reason why you wouldn't host your podcast at the Greatness Factory at all times, because you never know when somebody's going to call and say, hey man, we got, I don't know, somebody like Dan Martell or any Bradley or anybody else saying he's going to be here on Saturday or Tuesday or whatever it is, and he's looking for another podcast. Do you want to interview him?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Well, a lot of people ask me, they like, how did you get in the rooms with all these people? Like, how are you and Tim Grover good friends? And how did you meet Cardone? And, it's like, how did you speak? How do you, know all these people? And, it all really started, a lot of it through, I had a radio show many years ago on the Fox Business affiliate in Nashville. And that was an AM radio station, but it was on the Fox News affiliate, right? So I could say I have a show on the Fox News affiliate in Nashville. I do it every week. It's called Change Your Life Radio. I'd like to interview you. And that's how I met Marcus Lemonis. It's how I met Grant Cardone. It's how I met Nito Cobain. It's how I met, and I would do these interviews with these people. And then I'd follow up and they'd say, man, you were so prepared. We should be doing something together. Almost every interview led to some strategic partnership. Now, let's fast forward, 4 or 5 years later when I'm speaking at 10X and we generate probably now $2 million plus. That 1 hour podcast, which was radio in those days, really converted ultimately almost $2 million.
That's right.
It's where I met Bradley and all the deals we've done together. So it's like, to me, this is the new way to spend time with major people. They have a message. You have a podcast. It's up to you, though, to go back and find, and I give you credit, the prey drive in you, to see an opportunity with me and go, hey, we need to do something together.
That's right.
Because you saw it, And I remember having dinner with Tony Giarratano one night in Nashville at Jeff Ruby's, and it was celebratory. Like, we're celebrating closing this deal, right? And I just asked a question about, now, how do you raise all this capital for these? He said, I'm so glad you asked that question. He calls his assistant. He said, go ahead and bring one of those prospectus up here for Coach Burt. He'd like to look at it. He used it as an opportunity to see if I wanted to invest with him.
Wow.
And I went to this dinner. We're just celebrating, but he saw an opening. Mm-hmm. And he had the prey drive, man, to go after it. And I told my wife, I said, I didn't come to this dinner thinking I was going to give him $250,000, but I left thinking if I was going to give somebody $250, it would have been him, right? So I reward people who see an opportunity and have the prey drive to pursue that opportunity, versus go, well, that's an opportunity, because I've learned the hard way when you don't do that. So let's go back to 10X Riviera Maya Cardone. A guy sees me the first day in the gym, said, "You're Coach Burt." So yeah, he said, "I'm reading your book right now called Zebras and Cheetahs." That's a book I had out many years ago. He said, "I'm looking for some sales training for my people." And I thought, okay, man, why don't we meet while we're here down in Mexico? That's what I said. This is the young, naive Coach Burt. 2 nights later, he's sitting right beside Cardone at dinner signing a $50,000 coaching contract. And I go, that ain't never happening again. He told me in the gym 2 days before he wanted sales training for his people.
Yep.
I messed around and said, while we're here, we'll talk about it. He told them that, and they were signing a $50,000 deal at dinner right in front of my face.
That's right.
And I'm like, lesson learned. I was just a young pup in those days.
That's right.
But I'm not anymore. So
That's
it's
right.
like, all right, I know how to play this game.
That's right. That's exactly right.